It's me, the Panda. Skadoosh.
That's your fucking intro?
Yes.
It's me, the Panda. Skadoosh.
Blah.
I could have come up with that.
I don't care. It's funny.
Hello, guys. Welcome back to the Charming Analysis channel. I'm Mari.
And I'm Jay.
You were such a booty. Anyway, welcome back to our podcast, guys. And today, this is a video we've been kind of wanting to do for a bit. And now that this movie came out, it's the perfect time to do this. But we're going to be doing a franchise video today on the Kung Fu Panda movie franchise. Movie franchise.
Movie.
Okay? We're not doing it on the TV shows right now. So if you were thinking it was going to be about the TV shows, we're doing it another time. Because we just want to do the movies. But since Kung Fu Panda 4 came out recently, we decided, hey, let's fucking watch all the movies and do a franchise video. Because there's 4.
Yeah.
So why not?
Yeah, why not?
Also, ignore us rating Junior Mints and stuff in the background.
Yeah, nom.
Because my bean decided to order an extra large one.
No.
Today.
I was stupid. I paid for the movie snacks.
Well, because we were supposed to go to Dollar Tree.
Which is the most stupid thing in the world.
Also, we were supposed to go to Dollar Tree for it, and he ended up making us be late.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So
I couldn't even, we couldn't even do, the cheaper snacks.
It's okay. You will pay. Anyway.
So we're basically going to go over...
We're going to go over from the first one to the fourth one, which we saw today.
Yeah. For the record, we've been watching these literally since Thursday. We've been watching a movie a night since Thursday, basically to prep us for this movie that we saw today. Mm-hmm. So, as always, we're going to start with the first one. So, we're going to start with Kung Fu Panda. So, why don't you explain what Kung Fu Panda is about, honey?
Kung Fu Panda is about a panda named Po who strives to become influenced by Kung Fu. Be trained in the ways of Kung Fu.
He just wants to be the dragon warrior.
But he's too big and fat.
That's your explanation?
And stupid.
Jay, no. Okay, give a proper one. Come on. Don't be a butt.
Okay,
be serious.
So it takes place. So it's a movie that is about a panda named Po, and he lives with his adoptive father named Mr. Ping, who's a goose, and he wants
a noodle shop.
Yes, and he basically is all about Kung Fu. It's his passion. He wants to do it someday.
And his hyperfixation.
Yes. And then one day he has the chance when Master Oogway picks him to be the Dragon Warrior, which is a warrior that protects...
the land of peace.
The land...
The village of peace.
The Valley of Peace.
I couldn't remember the name for a second. I was like, fuck, what was it again?
It's called the Valley of Peace, okay?
Yeah.
And pretty much picks him by supposed mistake, but no, it's destiny. And he's destined to defeat a villain that's coming for the Dragon Scroll, and he is destined, but he's kind of bad at learning,
what he does.
But
don't forget,
he is ambitious, and with good heart and determination, he will try. Try again.
So for the record, I'm going to pull this up while we're, talking about this, because I need to pull this up so we can, this is going to go with our franchise video explanation.
Okay.
So give me 1 second. So, okay, that's not that one. Okay, so I found them. Mm-hmm. So Kung Fu Panda, the first movie came out in 2008. I'm looking this up. So that came out 20-something years ago now, which is insanity to me. So... This is the movie I grew up on. I grew up on this movie and stuff like that, and I'm assuming you did too.
Yeah.
So, how has it been to what did you think of Kung Fu Panda? Because personally, I love Kung Fu Panda, which is why we're doing this franchise video in the fucking first place. But what do you think about Kung Fu Panda? I want to know you get to go first.
So I was 8 when I saw it the first time. And seeing it when I'm 24, I still think it's a great fucking movie.
Me too.
I think it's one of the best
movies that DreamWorks has.
Maybe top 3 of like
DreamWorks best movies.
Yes,
honestly,
I would put it at top 3.
I can agree with you on that one. Like, it's one of the best like stuff that DreamWorks has put out. Honestly, especially with everything that has come out like over the years, it's one of the better things that they've put out, and for good reason. Like, it's iconic. It's got a lot of action scenes. It's funny. Oh my gosh, the humor is like one of the best things about this fucking movie. And it's like so nonchalant about, like, it'll just like, they'll do a fight and then all of a sudden, oh, funny thing.
Yeah.
Which is like the perfect formula in my opinion. And I personally like Kung Fu Panda. It's not like one of my all-time favorite things I enjoy, but like, because I don't hyperfixate on it, but I do think it's a really good franchise.
It was contemporary. It wasn't like one of those things to where, I mean, you look at DreamWorks back then, especially, where they were doing stuff like
banger after banger after banger. Maybe.
I mean, was Shark Tale a banger? Do you still think Shark Tale was a banger?
But you get my point. It's one of the better things that has come out of DreamWorks. And honestly, like, and I think you mentioned,
was
like,
B-Movie a banger?
Can we talk about this?
Like, because this was when, like, they were, they put stuff like that out, and then this came out. And this was, like, DreamWorks, and they were putting on their big boy pants again, Yeah,
because... But this is one of, like, the better, like, one of the best things that they've actually put out from this company.
Yeah.
And it's a unique story. Like, it's something that hasn't been done before. Like, before this point. It's one of the things that hasn't been done. And I'm glad we actually get to see this series, like, from the start to basically catch up on it for the 4th movie, because I'll get to that later about the excitement for that, but we're talking about the first movie first. So, what's something that you like about the first movie? Because personally for me, I just enjoy actually getting to see Poe developing as a character. Like, it's like the best thing to watch.
No, I still think that storyline holds up extremely well. Because, for one, he's a fat character.
Plus size.
Or plus size, yes. I should
say
that. I should say the PC term now. He's a plus size character. And, I mean, they do make jokes about his weight. But
it's not the central focus of his character.
It wasn't like when you were probably gonna make, like, when you guys were gonna make this movie, and it was like in the 2000s where you see this character, they're fat, and that's their personality because they're fat, like, the Kevin James type shit that I just like aged so badly now.
Honestly, yeah.
But but he does have like an actual personality.
And he's a good character overall. Like,
he's a good character. He's a very good. I'm just gonna say it sounded weird. He's a great role model for like kids to follow, because
honestly,
he just takes like all of the hate that's given to him in like stride. He doesn't let it bother him. He just keeps on pursuing it, even though he thinks like that he probably won't be able to succeed, but he still does it because he just is a good person.
Yeah. And that's like one of the things that, like, I feel like we didn't have enough of in 2008, in my opinion. Like, we didn't have enough, speaking from someone that is plus size, there has not been that much plus size representation until a lot more in the coming years, which I think is a good thing, honestly, because you got to be able to have representation for all kinds of like walks of life at this point, especially with how much film and stuff has come out over the years. But this was, I think, one of the first I can think of that actually, in my opinion, is one of the first representations of a plus size character.
Yeah.
That in like mainstream stuff, basically. Not like side stuff, not like side characters, but like a main character that's plus size, that's not just focused on how he looks. Well, it is, but not like the sole focus.
Yeah.
So that in my opinion, like, I didn't think much of it at the time, but now that I'm like a lot older seeing this, I honestly greatly appreciate that.
Yeah.
That we actually
aged well.
It really did.
I would be saying so much more differently if it didn't age well.
Yeah.
But
like,
I will say, the people who do, like, scorn him for his weight and stuff like that are proven wrong at the end of the movie, and they come to accept him for that. So I'm not really all that bothered by it, because they were already mean to him, not just because he weighs a lot, but because he's like, people just can't see him like as the
dragon warrior.
Yeah, people can't see him as
they would expect like someone like Tigress, or like someone like Monkey or Crane, or one of the Furious Five in this movie being the chosen one. And I feel like a lot of people, if it wasn't Poe being it, I feel like Tigress probably would have been it.
Yeah, probably, but destiny and shit.
Yeah, which I can understand.
Looking back, looking back at this movie, first one at least, I will firmly believe that it is not that Poe is not the main character.
Which I can also agree with.
I really do think
it's Shifu.
Well, Shifu is the one who gets the actual arc in the fucking movie.
Yeah, so I feel like I can agree with you on that one, honestly.
Like, yeah, you follow Poe, but you also follow Shifu as much.
I feel like if you're gonna, like, classify it, and I agree with you on this one, it's basically Poe and Shifu are both...
Poe is a subversion. Shifu is the Shifu...
Yeah, even though
Shifu
the franchise...
is the heart... Shifu is the heart, at least, of this movie.
Of the first movie, yes. Because I will say that. Like, even though the thing is named Kung Fu Panda, and technically Shifu is a red panda. Yes, I looked this up!
He is a panda.
He is a red panda!
So, technically not false advertising. Kung Fu Panda. He is a fucking
That's what I was
panda.
going to say. Before anyone comes at me in the comments... It is confirmed he is a red panda. It says so on the fucking wiki. He is a red panda.
Just like me.
Oh my gosh. But still, so it's not false advertising.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. Even though it says Kung Fu Panda.
Yes.
I think both of them share the role as main character. And they both get a bit of time equally. Shifu a little bit more than Poe. But Shifu mainly gets an arc in this. Which I think is also a good thing. And you would think...
We need more old men arcs in kids' movies.
Honestly, yes.
We need old mentors, and we need more old mentor arcs in children's entertainment.
Honestly,
I really do
like,
think so.
Besides, like, Jackie Chan's stuff and, like, other stuff like that.
Whatever. What was...
Karate Kid and, like...
Han Solo...
Why are we bringing Star Wars into this? That's not even our, like...
They have a lot of mentors in Star Wars.
That's different, honey. That's a space thriller. This is, like, Chinese,
I'm talking about kids media in general.
I get it. But, you basically get to go through his arc in this. And honestly, like, he gets so much... Like, I feel like Shifu gets a lot of development in this. And... Compared to the other, like, 3 movies, this is the best arc he's gotten. And I understand it's not the sole focus of the movies, but I do think it's a good thing to have Shifu grow as a character. Yeah. Especially within this first movie. Every single time I see the flashback where he's basically raising Tai Lung, I, like, get so... It warms my heart, and it's emotional.
And it's sad.
And it makes it even worse when they're fighting each other, like, near the end. And yes, there will be spoilers in this. Even though...
that whole speech of, like, when they were doing the showdown in the temple. And, like, he's, like, I don't know, he's punching his, like, father, basically.
Basically his adopted father.
Like, his adopted father. And he's, like, am I making you proud? Is this what's making you proud? And I'm like, I don't know why. It just kind of, like, it sinks into my soul.
And it shows that, like, Shifu, even though he's...
But I get why he's upset.
We get why everyone's upset.
I get everybody's emotion in this.
And side in this.
Yes, I get everyone's side. I get why people would be discouraged. I get why Shifu, the Furious Five, would be discouraged. I get why Poe would be like, the way he is, like trying to prove everybody wrong. I get why the fucking villain is upset.
Yeah, like we all understand.
I get why this is happening, and I think it just plays into, the philosophy more that this movie wants to like teach.
Which is a good thing.
Which is, like, basically... like,
understanding everyone's sides.
Yes.
Because that's one of the things I also greatly appreciate about this movie.
Even though they killed the villain at the end, but okay.
Well, not really killed him. They basically...
They killed him.
They
sent him to the fucking spirit realm. Well, I think that counts as killing someone.
I don't consider that killing.
That is killing someone. You are unaliving them. They're no longer in this world. That is basically killing them.
Okay, we get it. But anyway, like, this movie in general is just really good in all aspects of it. Like, it's got good character direction. The voice acting's phenomenal.
Animation still holds up.
The animation still holds up. Even though you can tell it's from 2008, it still holds up.
Yeah.
In, like, a bunch of different aspects. And stuff like that, which I think is also a good thing. Mm-hmm. So I guess, who's your favorite character?
Shifu.
Shifu's your favorite in this first one.
Yes.
I'm tied between Poe and Shifu. Both are pretty good. Mm-hmm. Even though out of the Furious Five...
I think they're a good duo, honestly.
Yeah. Also, I do like the Furious Five in this as well. My favorite for the Furious Five is still always going to be Tigress and Viper. Mm-hmm. They're still always going to be my favorites. But... out of, like, the main characters, definitely tied between Poe and Shifu. Like, they both equally get...
Which is why it's, like, makes me sad. Like, it kind of makes me sad that they kind of, like... I know why. Which is why, like, why was Shifu in the other movies to begin with? He has nothing to do!
Which we'll get to in a minute. We'll get to that.
Maybe he should have went away. Maybe he should have, like, died. I don't know. Maybe that would have been... that would have been, like, a better send-off. He has nothing to do in the other movies. But, like, every single time he comes on and him and Poe interact, I get, like, a little glimmer of hope a little bit. Especially in the fourth movie, when they were, like... the few moments they were interacting, I'm like, I like this chemistry so much.
Which is why they've done it in the all four fucking movies.
Yeah, but like, in a way, I'm just like, damn, I am sad that I can't get this type of chemistry, like, with any other characters.
In the series, or?
I'm kind of a little bit upset about that. Because I feel like they had good... like, I feel like they had their own chemistry in this first one that I don't think is represented
in all the other ones. Which, I can also agree with you on that one. Like, I feel like it's underutilized in the other films, but in the first film, it shines the most. Mm-hmm. And stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I do want to ask this, though.
What?
Do you think Tai Lung is a good villain? Because personally, I think he really is.
Yeah.
I think he's one of the best villains that...
he serves the plot.
Do you feel like he's the best villain in the movie franchise?
Is he the best villain in the movie franchise?
In your opinion.
He's the best capable villain. I don't think that he is... like,
the best one.
I don't know if he's the... I don't know. I'm between Tai Lung and Lord Chen, between, like, being actually threatening.
I don't mean actually threatening. I mean, like, who do you think is the best
I don't
villain?
know. That's the thing. Like,
well, do you think we'll answer that?
Each of them serve their purpose in the story, and I feel like,
it could be a lot.
I get more of a threat from Lord Chen, but I don't like...
You still see a threat from Tai Lung.
I don't think he's as complex as Tai Lung.
Yeah, because Tai Lung basically grew up basically with the main character. So you get more of like a sentimental connection with him.
Maybe if I got like more, I don't know.
But
I don't know.
Do you think
the plot?
Do you think by the end of this podcast you'll pick which one is the best one?
No, probably not.
Okay.
But they're good villains.
Okay. Personally, for me, I do think he is a good villain. Do I think he's the best one? I don't know. Once we talk about all the other ones, I probably will determine who's the best one.
Maybe. I'm not sure.
But, okay. So, another thing I do want to ask before we, like, go over anything else. What do you think of the Furious Five? I want to know your opinion. Based on the first movie, what do you think of the Furious Five?
Here's the weird thing. They were advertising them a lot.
Honestly, yeah.
A lot. Those are the ones that were like, selling action figures of and shit.
Like doing actual shit with them.
And I feel like, again, with the same thing with Shifu, they're not used, they're barely used afterwards. And I'm just like, what's such wasted potential? And here, they're great. But I'm thinking of the other films before that, after this, and I'm just like, God damn!
But
you're just comic relief now, and you guys
just
were
focus
so
on
cool.
the first movie.
You guys were so cool in the first one.
Just focus on the first one.
We're
so doing good. One at a time.
Okay, yes, okay, they were good. They were really, really good, and I like.
You can talk about them more than the other ones.
I liked their chemistry that they were having between,
each other.
Yeah, each other and stuff like that. They could tell that. They've been training with each other for a while and stuff like that. And when they were talking not really talking, but I guess when Shifu was training the Furious Five as well, whenever they did their sparring and stuff like that, I thought that was fucking cool. I was like, damn, with only a few seconds you established the master and the students. Not really much saying much about it. So I'm just like, I don't know. It feels good to see actual connection, and not just artificial connection. Not just someone telling me that they're friends.
Yeah, you get to see the fucking chemistry.
Yes,
which is a good thing. Okay, so who's your favorite Furious Five members? Because for me, it's got to be Tigress first, and then Viper.
Question: who was your favorite when you were a kid?
For the Furious Five.
Mm-hmm.
Still Tigress and Viper, in my opinion.
Still Tigress and
Those
Viper.
two are my favorites, even though I love Jackie Chan to death. I love that man.
Yeah.
He's a good man.
Yeah.
But I do think Tigress and Viper are my favorites. They've always been my favorites since I was a kid. I don't know why. They were just the best two of the characters. And
I liked Viper as a kid, but now I like Tigress a little lot more.
Yeah. Tigress definitely and I will say this before we keep talking about the rest of the first movie. Mm-hmm. Tigress is probably one of the best developed characters out of the Furious Five. Honestly. She's got to be the best developed out of the Furious Five.
Have you seen the original show from the one that they did on Nickelodeon?
I've only seen a few of it, but we're not mainly talking about it.
Okay. Well, I know that they get more,
which
the Furious Five get more development,
which I think is a good thing.
Which I think is, for a TV show, it's not bad. In fact, I would probably say that the original Kung Fu Panda TV show was really good.
Which I have seen a couple bits of it, but we're not talking about it within this franchise.
In terms of, I would say that in terms of a TV show, in the first movie, I feel like they're used well enough, but I feel like they're used to be cool.
They're just supposed to be the cool people.
Yeah, and then
it's kind of
ones. The only one that gets an actual arc is maybe a tiny little arc is Tigress. That's it, and no other ones. And I'm like, that's the only one I can connect to. Then is her. But I feel like the TV show did a whole lot more with the other ones. Yeah,
which I will bring up something when we do talk about the second movie and stuff like that. I will bring something up.
Okay,
But I've only seen a little bit from the franchise, the TV show and stuff. Eventually,
I will admit it is really, really good. I will admit for something that was based off a TV show. I think it came out after the second movie.
Probably.
I think.
I'm assuming that after the second movie.
Yeah, I think it was. So, but for something that came out and it was the new 3D animation that wasn't really being used in TV show lineups.
It's one of the better ones.
Looked okay. And it still somewhat kept the original, which is not something that you could say probably
for a lot of shows.
For the two other shows that they released on Netflix, which I have not heard good things about.
Which eventually, if you guys are interested, and something we might eventually do, eventually we will go over the TV shows if you'd like, because I would actually like to go over all 3 TV shows and compare them to the movies, but that's not going to be for a while.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to mainly just focus solely on the movies for this, because it's going to be too hard to cram that and the TV show together.
Fun fact about the TV show.
Okay.
You know the theme song?
Yes. I know the theme song. Legends of Awesomeness.
Legends of Awesomeness.
What about it?
Jack Black did not sing the theme song. That's an impersonation of Jack Black.
He didn't even sing it?
He didn't sing the theme song, but that's an impersonation of Jack Black. But would you have honestly ever noticed?
No!
Exactly.
What?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
You gotta be kidding me.
No.
Who the fuck impersonated him is what I would like to know.
It's a fucking great impersonation.
I will say that.
Jack Black. Singing.
I will say that.
Tenacious D impersonation.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, do you have anything else to say about the first movie?
Great movie. I would give it like, ooh.
I personally
would give it like maybe a 9 out of 10.
I would give it a 9.5 out of 10.
It's
a very solid movie.
Yes.
Honestly, like it's got to be like one of the best things to come out of this franchise, and even though it's the first one, and normally a lot of people are like the first one's always going to be the best one. It kind of depends on how they do the films and who's directing them and writing them and shit.
Mm-hmm. The only thing that's holding it back is a little bit of, like, the data animation that you could see, like, particularly, I don't care about, like, I didn't really care, like, the designs and the backgrounds and the foregrounds looked okay. I'm talking about the character, like...
the way the characters looked.
No, I'm talking about the character animation, particularly on the faces.
Which I can understand.
It's still... That's the only thing that I, like, looked at and I was like, okay, that seems to be a little bit outdated. Which is
understandable because this came out in 2008.
Yes.
So that's a bit understandable. This came out, like, when a lot of TV shows were kind of just...
Yes.
So it's one of, like, the better things to come out of 2008.
When they were, as soon as the movies progressed, they get better with the facial animation, especially for Poe and, like,
all the other characters.
Yes, well, especially for Poe.
Basically. So I like how, especially for Poe.
Yes, especially for Poe and Mr. Ping, particularly those two, because those are particularly two hard faces that I noticed, like, watching this series back to back. I feel like those are two particularly hard faces. I was like, okay, you're getting there, to the point of where, like, okay, now I can see.
I will point this out. I was
just looking at the character models, and I was like, especially when they were emoting with their face, and I'm like, okay, you're not fully there with this first movie because it was like a little bit weird. It looked a little.
Well, it's their first movie.
I know, I get it, but they were getting better, and I was proud. Good job, DreamWorks with.
But I will say this: I do think it's funny that we're like, especially with Poe.
Yes.
Besides everybody else, but mainly Poe. Yeah. I just like how you said that was funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I give it a 9.5 out of 10. It's like the best film, honestly, one of the best films that they've done.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else before we start with the second one?
Trying to think.
Because I already guarantee you this is going to be a long ass video because there's
fighting the song. You still bop that?
Yes.
You still bop that shit?
Yes. I will say this.
CeeLo Green doing the song.
I don't care. It's still good. Anyway. This is gonna be a long video, guys.
I remember when I was like putting the you had the DVD and you put it in, and they had like the kung fu fighting music video on.
Yes, I remember that. Yes,
that was such good fucking.
I also
memories.
like how they animated
on loop.
Also, I like how they animated the credits.
Oh yeah, they did. Well, yeah, kind of a little bit. They did animate
best animated credits. Honestly, I wish more stuff did that nowadays, but they really don't.
They don't do it anymore. They don't do the animated credits
which kind of sucks, because I think even though it's a lot more work for the people, I still like seeing those at the end of the movie, especially before they get the long ass credits. But anyway, strap in, guys. This is going to be a long video. We're talking about 4 fucking movies, and there's a lot to talk about.
Okay.
All right. So, you ready to talk about Kung Fu Panda 2?
Yes.
Okay. So, for reference, Kung Fu Panda, the first movie came out in 2008. Kung Fu Panda 2 came out in 2011. I'm literally looking at the dates for it right now. I'm going to keep this up so we can point this out. Uh-huh. That's like a 3 years later.
Do you want to hear a funny story related to this?
What? What's your funny story?
Okay, so when I was, I went to go see this movie the first time. I loved it. I really wanted to see it again. But I was in Brownsville at the time at the $1 movie theater.
Okay.
So I was like, hey, we're going to take you to the one of your relatives is going to take you to the movies. And I was like, oh, yay, great. I want to go to the movies. I want to go see Kung Fu Panda 2. So we went, and they didn't buy tickets to go see Kung Fu Panda 2. they bought tickets to go see a movie. I forgot what the movie is called, but it was a movie starring. It was a movie that came around at the same time. It was starring Selena Gomez, and she was impersonating a European princess. It was a foreign exchange to it, and they
Princess Bride?
No, it was you look you look exactly like them. Like, let's switch places and steal.
Oh, the Mary-Kate and Ashley shit. I know what you're talking about.
Like, let's steal their identity without their consent.
Anyway,
I went to go see that one instead of Kung Fu Panda 2, and I was so mad. I was legit so mad. And I was just like, I wouldn't want to be anybody else, like, at the end credits, and I was just so mad. And I saw a group of, like, students from a classroom going into the Kung Fu Panda 2 screening, and I was so fucking mad. I was like, God damn it, I wish I could go over there.
Oh my
Just go see the fucking movie. But anyway, that's my little funny story of how little Jay was very, very mad that he didn't go see his movie.
My goodness, that's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Kung Fu, like I said before, Kung Fu Panda came out in 2008. Kung Fu Panda 2 came out in 2011. That's 3 years.
Okay.
We waited 3 years for a second movie,
which is average length for the
I get
amount that you make for a
still
film.
I'll get more into that when we go over the last two movies. But so basically, Kung Fu Panda 2 is next. Mm-hmm. So why don't you go over what Kung Fu Panda 2 is, for those who don't know?
We continue the adventures with Po and Furious 5 and all that, and there's a new villain who has invented gunpowder and wants to pretty much invade China with this new mechanic. Mechanism, yes, and it's pretty much Po and the Furious 5 has stopped before it invades all of China, pretty much.
Yep. So, one thing I will say about this, when I originally saw this when it came out, because I saw this in theaters, I was not that into this movie when it first came out.
Really? No.
Honestly, I wasn't.
Why?
I still thought the first one was the best one.
Why?
I don't know. I think it's because we just got off, we just dealt with, I think I still had a lot of, favoritism for the first movie, so when I saw this originally when I was younger, I was not that into it.
You were older at that point.
Yeah, but I wasn't into it at the time. But looking back on it now, I do think it's really good. It's really good.
I think we can both agree it does.
It does better with age, in my opinion.
I think we can both. You didn't let me finish. I think we can both agree that it is not better than the first one.
I know that it's not better than the first one,
but I will argue it has it has better moments than the first one.
Definitely. So I'll go over some of my thoughts first. So the first thing that I liked about, one of the first things that I thought about this movie, I personally liked that we actually get to see Po and the Furious 5 working together and not basically treating him like shit.
Yeah.
They actually, all work together well in this movie. And I like how they actually came up with all the fucking fighting moves with one another. That was, one of my favorite things about this movie was, the first fight scene where they're all, Po's literally using all their talents to basically defeat the fucking enemies, and it was, the best fucking thing. Mm-hmm. And I like how they're actually working with each other instead of working against each other or showing off individually. They're showing how they work as a group, which I think is good. I think it's, one of the best things about this second movie. Mm-hmm. And stuff like that. What about you? Do you agree?
Yeah, I think that they do work off Nick, good. They're good friends now.
They're finally, getting to a point where they can work with each other and not be shit to each other.
Yes.
Which is good. They're still not completely there, but they're a lot better than they were chemistry-wise than the first movie.
Yes, I especially like, him and Tigress's interaction with
honestly, yeah. That was one of the things that I was actually surprised at when I first saw this movie was, Tigress doesn't hate Po in this movie. She's still, she has her issues with him, but it's not
no, she doesn't really have... I wouldn't say she doesn't have issues with him. It's just the fact that, in this movie at least, he's reserved because of, traumatic experience
shit
that he experienced as a kid, and he doesn't want to bring it up.
But I will say, and I think what people don't get whenever someone goes into a voice acting booth and is told, okay, you're going to play a very serious character. They cannot like, you know, they cannot, they're not going to emote much when we put this into animation, but you're going to have to deliver a voice performance that shows stern emotion, but also can emote through that stern emotion.
Yeah. Which Tigress can do.
Props to
Angelina Jolie.
Props to Angelina Jolie for understanding that, because even the way she talks, I can understand an underlining bit of, like, you know, the way she delivers the line. Like, she understands how it's supposed to be delivered in the scene. I can tell by her inflections, like, how she's feeling, even though she's pretty much talking the exact same throughout, which is incredibly fucking hard to do for even a professional voice actor to do.
Yeah.
So, good on you for that.
And I will say this, though. Like, I do like how Poe and Tigress's relationship, in a sense, grows in this movie. Like, a lot of people probably, when they came into this, were probably thinking, okay, it's the second movie. They're probably gonna give Poe, like, a love interest or something. And who's probably the only love interest they could probably do? Fucking Tigress. But they really don't, and I actually like that. It's like a good friendship. And I like that they don't automatically jump to, okay, let's give Poe a fucking relationship.
Yeah.
I love this about, I'm not gonna lie, I will say this about all the movies. I like that they don't fucking give him a love interest.
Yeah. And like, apparently there are
people that do ship them together.
No, I'm talking about interspecies relationship in terms of in the Kung Fu Panda universe.
Which I find interesting, because you would think they would have had that. Or something. But
it is in the universe, but they don't have it with him.
Which is good. Like, but here's the thing.
Mari.
What?
Maybe Poe is asexual.
Which I will actually get into that when I get a chance to. I will actually get into that. Because I will say something about
Mari,
that.
you just love to just put shit on characters
shut up!
Weird and
shut up!
It's like, okay, Mari, you can have your headcanons, whatever.
Headcanons are fun. Don't ruin my fun. Okay? You're allowed to have your headcanons. I don't fucking care.
And I will sit on your fun.
Stop it. But anyway, like, I will actually talk about that and stuff soon. Okay, but, fine. I actually like how we get to explore their friendship, and I like that they're just not automatically making it a romantic relationship. I think that's a fucking breath of fresh air. I just realized in the
cartoon that he does almost marry someone.
I don't think it's fucking Tigress. What? Like, I don't think it's fucking Tigress.
It wasn't, but he was, like, committed to marry someone.
This is the movie franchise, not the TV show.
I know. It's a TV show in my canon. I gotta look that up later, but okay.
I don't know. This is why I'm saying just the movie franchise right now. Fine. Because I consider it separate from the TV show.
Fine.
It's still with the same characters, and the events still are canonical with each other, but I feel like it's side shit.
Okay.
It's side shit.
Fine.
Shut up. Anyway. Can we finish talking about this?
Okay, yes.
And not keep deviating off of it.
Okay, God.
But yeah, I like how these two are actually, like, growing together in a friendship instead of just forcing a relationship upon these characters. I think that's nice. Even though I do like when sometimes that happens, as long as they have good chemistry.
Yes.
And I like, stuff like that. But I like this movie doesn't need the romance to it. Like, it's one of those movies that doesn't really need it. Like, you can get the platonic, like, shit, and that's, like, good enough for me in this case. Mm-hmm. And stuff like that. I like how basically Poe's actually opening up to someone out of the Furious Five.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. Instead of just him, like, bottling it up. And I like this about Poe. I like that even though it takes him a while to learn about it, that he's actually learning to open up to the Furious Five. Like, we kind of get we get a bit of it in the first movie, but I like that they're basically promoting to show your feelings, which I think is a good thing. Mm-hmm. Especially, like, for male characters, and just males in general, because contrary to popular belief, a lot of people don't like male people in a lot of circumstances to express emotions, which is bad.
It's a bad thing.
Which everyone
and
should
Poe is still a silly person, even in his adulthood. So that's
I didn't know how old some of these characters are.
He's a silly. Well, they're all adults, so I don't
I know that,
but he's like a silly, upbeat, middle-aged person. You could say middle-aged guy. If we're not talking about them being animals, but he's just he's so fun-loving, and he's he's sincere, and he's good-hearted and stuff, and you don't get to see a lot of those. You don't get to see a lot of main characters, especially main male characters like that. I don't know. I think Poe in and of himself is maybe in terms of frontmen for animated films, very, very likable. Very, very likable. He goes on a very likable he goes on the top of very, very likable male characters, in my opinion. But you're forgetting the other big relationship,
which is basically Poe and his dad.
Yes.
Which is another thing that we get a little bit in the first movie. We get a basic understanding of it, and I was going to point that out when you were done.
Yes.
But we also
I
get
got
to
something
see...
to talk about with that, also as a personal side note.
I get it, but I
got to talk about that.
But I want to talk about my thing first. But that's another thing we get to experience this. We actually get to see Poe's relationship more with his dad.
Yes.
We get to see, it briefly and, a general idea of it. He and his dad have a good relationship. Mm-hmm. We don't really get expanded upon. This movie actually expands upon it, and I love that. Mm-hmm. Especially with, in my opinion, good sequels for a series should be elevating the series.
I will admit, I will say, regardless of, it not being as good as the first one, it's still fucking a really good sequel. And that is very hard to come by.
I will say that as well.
And it doesn't feel like sequelitis.
It really doesn't. Which is a good
damn
thing.
Jinx.
Shush. Anyway, we get to see his relationship with his dad, which I think is great.
I know.
Because we get basic understanding, and you can obviously tell he's adopted, obviously, because they're both different species. But Poe doesn't realize, oh shit, I'm fucking adopted. I thought I hatched from an egg. I thought that was funny. Because honestly, I'm just especially with Cult of the Lamb being out, the idea that he could have technically been laid from an egg, especially the Cult of the Lamb universe, is hilarious to me. But
I like that you just somehow brought a fucking indie game into this.
Because it has to do with it.
It does not.
Anyway, I like that we get to expand on his dad's relationship and then be son, I hate to burst your bubble, but you're adopted. Mm-mm. And he's but then where did I come from? How the fuck am I supposed to know I'm your dad?
I don't know. I do not know.
I thought they were going to do the sex talk where it was
no.
But at the same time,
it's a kids movie. That's not.
I know, but
not
the whole not
when a mom and dad love each other
shit.
Very much.
That shit. I thought they were gonna do something like that, but Poe's older than that. He probably already knows what that is.
So okay, so what do you think? Because I already said about the villain. I think he's threatening. I think he fits the story well. What do you think of Lord Chen?
Okay.
His whole backstory and everything that, and his whole motivation and stuff like that.
I will get into that in a second, but because I want to say this though. So I actually looked up the characters' ages on here because there's a Reddit thread. I don't know if this is canon.
A Reddit thread, yes, the most canonic. The more you get your most canon, fucking
shush. Anyway,
could have went to the fucking Kung Fu Panda wiki, and that would have been more better than that.
I might actually do that.
Okay,
hold on.
But anyway, what do you think of
Okay, character stats. Oh. Okay, this is a wiki. Character stats. Also, these are really cool outfits for fucking Tigress. It says she's about 25. So Tigress it says on here about 25, which I can kind of see that. I'm trying to find all the other characters. So
we gotta make sure also that probably the shorts are also canon as well. Like the shorts,
but I will
with
also
the
get
DVDs.
into the shorts as well.
We didn't even watch the shorts.
I've watched the shorts.
I didn't know we had to watch them again.
We didn't have to.
I have only a vague memory of them. I don't feel comfortable talking about the shorts.
General, we're just going over a general because they don't give exact ages. So it says basically Poe is in his 20s, and the Furious 5 has to be older than him. So basically, they're adults.
All right, let's just assume they're all adults and just
fine
leave it at that.
Fine.
Okay,
Lord Shen.
Yes.
Okay, so I think he's an interesting character, and I like that we get to see a character that's a lot different than the last film, which was Tai Lung. Mm-hmm. He's actually, trying to fucking kill people with actual guns. Mm-hmm. Or basically cannons in this because it's not really guns yet,
can you imagine
but
if
it
was
could get there.
Guns.
No.
No.
Anyway, personally for me, I don't mind his backstory. The thing that bothers me about Lord Shen, I don't like his fucking attitude and the way he, like... I don't like how, like, his attitude and his vibe. Like, the way
he's a fucking villain!
But he acts, like, way too arrogant. He acts like a stuck-up bitch. Like, in my opinion, Shen acts like a stuck-up bitch.
Mari, he was royalty.
I don't care! It still bothers me. I don't like him. I get
why he's a brat. Okay?
I know, but
he was a royal stuck-up bitch that got banished.
I get it, but that doesn't mean I like it.
Oh my god.
But still, I don't like him. Like, I legit don't like him. Like, he gives me the ick.
I think
he gives me the ick. I don't know why. I just don't like him. He's, in my opinion, even though
I don't like him, even though he was portrayed as, like, literally as I thought he would be, and he's the villain of the movie, and you're not supposed to like him. The characters don't like him. I just don't personally like him because he gives me the ick. I'm like, what the fuck is that?
Well, that's my answer.
What kind of criticism is that?
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Great.
What?
I like how you're having a fit over this.
You're breaking my brain. You're breaking my brain right now.
I love that I can break your brain in this.
Because he gives me the ick. He gives me the ick personally. I don't like, he's the villain. He gives everybody the ick. Okay? What? Everything from his situation, like leading up to that, is like I can see how this character formed from the environment that he was spawned from. Like I understand why he's like this, and you just don't like him because he just gives you the ick. He's just weird. I'm like, what the fuck? We're talking about the movie. We're talking about the movie. That's how you personally feel about his fucking character. Oh.
Okay, I will say this. One thing I love about doing these podcasts sometimes is when I can break your brain. I fucking love breaking your brain when we do these.
We are so loud, and it's like almost midnight, and we're like screaming at the fucking top of our lungs about a fucking psychotic peacock. I mean, what the fuck is going on?
Oh my gosh. Anyway.
Okay, so you don't like him for petty reasons. Okay,
shut up.
Let's just move on.
Anyway, something I will also say about the second movie, I like that we actually get to find out, like, Poe's backstory a little bit more. Like, he basically had parents. Mm-hmm. Like, we get to find out where he came from. And, like, this is gonna get repetitive.
Okay.
Which I'm gonna say.
What?
But basically, the premise of this movie and the third movie is basically, where did I come from? But two different versions of where did I come from.
Uh-huh.
The second one does a practical reason, like, okay, how the fuck did I get here? Yeah. While the third movie, which we're going to talk about in a bit, is, who am I? And where did I come from?
And we answer that.
And we answer that in a more, I guess... more like heritage stand.
Come to
more heritage
Come
aspect.
to your country. Come back to your country.
A heritage aspect.
Mm-hmm.
So this one's more like, how the fuck did I get here? And you were
coming to America 2, part 2.
Okay, let me explain. Because you and me were talking about this when we were watching the movies. That's why I'm bringing this up. Because you were like, this is so stupid. The second one's like, where the fuck did you come from? Like, who am I? And then the third one's like, who the fuck am I again? And I'm like, well, the reason behind it is because the second one's like, okay, well, how did I become your son?
Why am I here? Like,
and then the third one is like, who am I? From a heritage aspect, like from a family
which
aspect.
is fine. I can.
I was trying to explain that because you brought that up.
Okay, but I can explain why they would take that. I would explain.
We can get to that when we get to that. But I like, now that I'm an adult watching the second movie, I actually like it. It's not as good as the first one. I don't think anything's gonna top the first one, in my opinion. But I do think that the second one is good.
Okay.
But it's good for different reasons. I like the second one because we get to see more of how Poe's relationship is developed with the Furious 5. I don't know how the fuck I need to fucking drink my drink. That's probably why I'm stuttering.
Yeah, you're stuttering real bad. Okay, I'll talk for a minute. I especially like they improved on Poe's character facial animation.
Definitely with that.
I adore. There's moments in here where
he actually looks better.
But there's actually there where he emotes, and it's some of the most believable
emotions.
Some of the most believable character animation that I've seen, but it's from a fucking panda, and that I don't know, it got to me. This is the type of shit, especially when he's in that village, when he's in that burned down village that used to be his home, and he's coming to terms with it, and it's not really so much hyperventilating, but you can see
the trauma of
you can see through his expressions and stuff, and he doesn't really talk much, and it's just so fucking great. It's basic fucking character animation. I want that scene to be. I want that particular moment to be studied because it deserves to be studied in every single animation class.
It's technically generational trauma, but through an outside perspective.
Generational trauma through a horrible thing that happened to his people.
It's basically generational trauma, but from a PTSD kind of aspect.
Yes.
Different than how most people
I also
see general
think that
trauma.
Him doing with the raindrop and going through
inner peace.
No.
That's what that is, inner peace.
Yes, but I'm talking about the scene where he's discovering what with his mother and
father went through.
God.
Sorry.
With the raindrop when he catches it, and it's a flashback to him and his mom escaping, and the way that was storyboarded and shot and everything. I thought it was the way he switched from 2D 3D, fucking great.
That was the best scene in the entire second movie.
Great.
Was Poe basically discovering inner peace.
Music too. I will also say the fucking music in these movies.
That's the best scene in the entire second movie, in my opinion. I still love that movie.
I think Hans Zimmer and John Pell did all three of them. I'm not sure. We'll have to check me on that later, but I'm pretty sure they did. Great fucking music. Great music all throughout.
And that's something I like. Here's the thing. I like most of the second movie. The thing I don't like mainly has to do with Shen.
Is that fucking peacock, apparently.
It.
That
Other
fucking
peacock
bothers you
that's
for
my main
no
issue with it.
real reason.
Shut up.
Okay.
Anyway.
I will also bring up the fact.
What is your thing you wanted to bring up about
this movie, when I saw it, it spoke personally to me because I was also adopted by two people as well. When I was very, very young, pretty much a baby, but I was known, I kept it's pretty much a catchphrase that I said, a goddamn Pokemon saying I'm adopted.
Oh my God.
But I, as I got older, I knew what I found out what that actually meant because, when you're a little kid, you're just oh, those are just my parents. But when you get older, you're I was birthed by someone else. But,
and basically raised by you.
And basically raised by someone else. And this movie kind of like, you know, was kind of the emphasis on that.
And definitely like it
so
brought a lot
I was
of
like
emotion.
kind of like, hey, like this was one of the movies that I really wanted to watch. Like when it came on DVD, I wanted my parents to watch this because I feel like it would be important for them. This is like one of those movies where like I was like I think maybe one of the first movies, even though like I wanted to show them like all the animated films I ever saw under the sun because it was just my obsession at the time.
Your hyperfixation.
Yes, but this was one of the first movies I wanted them to see because of the message and because of the fact that it was like, you know, it was impactful to me and the way that it explained like, you know, all of this stuff and like I don't know, it was just personable to me because on one hand it was just like, well, do I want to know about my birth parents? Do I want to know about like all of this stuff? And like, well, would it be selfish? Is it like, you know, is it like harsh or anything? And that ending scene, I don't know, it spoke to me and my dad personally. Like, you know, when he came back and he was like, I know who, like, he was like, he went through that journey, and he was like, I know who I am your son. That scene always fucking gets to me.
I know, because, I saw you crying.
Yes,
I
because I was like, yeah, because I was like, oh my god, it's something to where, like, you know, doesn't matter birth or adoption. Like whenever like I saw that and my like, you know, my dad was in the room like when I saw that and it was just like it still gets to me. And it
gets to me too. Like it's a really heartfelt
now
scene.
I just barely talk to my parents, but it's like,
oh my god.
But even then it's like, you know, I still gets to me even as somebody who has grown up and like, you know,
been in that circumstance.
Like as a kid, and still speaks even as a kid, as an adult, it still gets to me because I still think, and I think it's also impactful for kids who also went through that.
Yeah, and I can definitely agree with you on that one. Like,
and I can't think of, is there any other kids media that talks about adoption? Like
off the top of my head, I can't really think of any, but there probably is. But I can't think of any off the top of my head right now.
I mean, I'm pretty sure there's like a lot of media that talks about step parents, but not much about adoption.
Yeah, which is kind of sad because there's a lot
weird.
Because there's a lot of like people that are in the adoption like the adoption agencies and stuff like that. Like there's a lot of people that are in the foster care system, unfortunately.
Not a lot of kids animated media talking about adoption, I see.
Which you would think with the way like society is right now, they probably would have done that, but it's kind of sad that they really haven't, honestly. Like, it's sad. But anyway.
But yeah, I just wanted to bring something personal because it was impactful for me when I was a kid. So
and I love that you're actually bringing that in.
But it's still not as good as the first movie, so I give it a 7 out of 10.
I didn't even finish. But yeah, I definitely agree with you. Like, okay, fine, let me finish my stuff and then we'll go to the
or maybe an 8 out of 10. I'm not sure. I'm between a 7 and an 8.
You pick. But I'm going to go
I'll pick 7.5.
Just go with the middle. That's normally what I do if I can't decide. I just go right down the middle.
Yeah.
But anyway, this movie is really good. Now that I'm a lot older, I do appreciate this movie more than when I was a kid when I saw it. It's definitely one of the better movies it's a good movie. Is it as good as the first one? No. But is it still good? Yes.
Great.
And it's also a great sequel. Mm-hmm. I will say that. It is also a great sequel. Because we don't get enough fucking good-ass sequels. Please, give us more good-ass sequels. Like, come on. It's not that fucking hard. Like, in my opinion, the best stuff to have for a good sequel is expanding on lore, expanding on a character in good ways, like how they did with Poe, like, who am I kind of thing. Like, give us, like, the who, what, when, where, why, like, to shit, and just build the world. As long as you're, like, building it, I feel like it'll make a good sequel. You just gotta really work on it. Mm-hmm. And some stuff does have, like, that aspect to it, but you just gotta really, like, put your heart and soul into it and said, don't make it solely a cash grab. Make it actually a good story. There's too many cash grabs. Give us, like, the good diamond in the rough.
Yeah, well,
in a sense.
Well, I think DreamWorks needs a few crash grabs.
Which I understand.
They needed it back. Well, they didn't really need it like back in 2010s, but they definitely need it now.
I get it.
Jesus Christ.
Anyway, and now you're playing Cult of the Lamb.
Shut up.
Are you going to focus?
I will focus.
Better focus.
I will. Don't worry. I'll focus more than ever before.
Thank you. Anyway, so personally for me, I give this movie, I would give it an 8 out of 10.
Okay.
I do think it's good. Is it as good as the first one? No. Is it still a great sequel? Yes. And it's still a good movie in general. Mm-hmm. You actually get to see Poe expand on stuff, and you actually get to see a cohesive story.
Yes.
And stuff like that. And the animation definitely improved as well with over the course of the series. It has definitely improved, in my opinion. And I do like the aspects of it and stuff, but I give it an 8 out of 10.
Okay.
So, now we are going to talk about Kung Fu Panda 3.
Okay.
Came out in 2016. This movie came out 5? Right? 2011 to 2016.
5, yeah.
5 years after the other one. Mm-hmm. And at that time, I was like, I wasn't even thinking we were getting another sequel.
January, so that means you know it's good.
Yeah. Here's the other thing. Most, like, the first 2 movies came out 3 years apart. This came out 5 years apart. Mm-hmm. And, like, we were seeing the advertisements for it, I was not expecting us to get sequels for this franchise. And the fact that, it's really good. And
it left on a fucking cliffhanger.
Well, I was gonna get to that.
Okay.
Most of the time I didn't know we were getting a sequel. However, since you interrupted me.
Yeah.
The only, for the first one, I didn't know we were getting a second movie. Mm-hmm. For the second one, it was obvious we were gonna get a third movie because of how it fucking ended, and we get to see Poe's actual fucking dad.
Yeah.
And the pandas that are there. And stuff like that. Like, okay, they live! And shit like that.
They live!
And
hashtag movie, they live.
Yes. Anyway, that was more the obvious ones that we get a sequel. First one I didn't really know. But
okay. Anyway,
Kung Fu Panda 3, 2016, came out 5 years later. Why don't you explain the plot for this one?
So Poe finds his dad, or his dad finds him.
Just say bio dad.
His bio dad.
To make it not confusing.
His bio dad, and he has conflicting feelings on it. Well, not really. He's more happy, but he's like conflicted about like his like whole heritage and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's a culture shock.
Yes, it's a culture shock to him. And a villain appears that fought Uruguay all the way
in the war days.
And he wants the chi of every single master in China
and the pandas,
and pretty much it's just Poe trying to master chi so he can defeat J.K. Simmons' wildebeest.
I like how you say J.K. Simmons' wildebeest.
Yeah, basically.
Since you said that, I'm gonna fucking point this out. And I did not know this until later on.
Until I pointed it out.
Until you fucking pointed it out.
Yes.
Because I was not expecting that. I forgot this guy played Poe's dad. His bio dad. So, for the sake of not confusing Poe's dad, in quotes, we're gonna say his bio dad's the panda. The bio dad's his the panda dad is his bio dad. And Goose dad is his adopted dad. So to not confuse everyone, be like Poe's dad. We're going to say bio dad and adopted dad. Got it? Okay. So, I did not know Poe's bio dad was voiced by fucking Walter White. You're telling me this fucking bitch from Breaking Bad, who I hated near the end of the fucking season we watched, is fucking Poe's dad?
Yes.
I also find this funny. Jack Black, Walter White. Please tell me that's fucking funny.
That is funny.
Come on, that's the first thing I thought when you mentioned it. I was like, damn it, they're fucking clever.
Or Jack Black, you could just say.
I said Jack Black. Fucking, Jack Black. Walter White. I just think that's funny.
That is.
The fact that they picked those specific people to play the dad, the bio dad, and Poe. Yes. I think that's funny. Anyway, what did you think of the third movie? I want you to go first.
Okay.
I kind of have conflicting feelings about it. Because on the one hand, I get the sequelitis. Like, honestly,
you get the sequelitis from this third one.
Yes, I do get the sequelitis, and I think that the characters, besides, the two dads and Poe, like, everyone else...
Definitely sequelitis.
Disposable, yeah.
Definitely
disposable
sequelitis.
trash.
Like, compared to... And this is where, like, we kind of get this sort of quote-unquote formula with the Kung Fu Panda movies. Mm-hmm. In a sense, it's, like, just a basic formula, but not, like, the whole thing of how it goes. Basically, Poe meets with Shifu. Shifu gives him wisdom, tells him, oh, you need to be able to do this. Poe doesn't want to do this. Shifu's like, you have to fucking do this. And then he goes on a spiritual journey. That's basically the plot, in a set, like the bare bones plot of these movies. Yeah. Like how we mentioned with the second movie, where did I come from? This is more of like the where did I come from plus heritage. Mm-hmm. So it's basically like the same question, but you kind of have to like explain it more specifically. This is basically going over Poe's cultural heritage. Yeah. He's a fucking panda, so what do pandas do? That's basically what the third movie is. And stuff like that. And I can understand where you get the sequelitis from. I get it. I personally didn't feel that with the third movie. But I do like the third movie. I personally think it's better than the second. In a couple aspects.
Okay.
And I will get to that. First off, I like that we actually get to see Poe discovering how to be a panda. That's like... I'll give an example. Say you are white and your parents are a different race than you. Basically finding out...
Well, technically, his parent is a different race than him. You go by voice actor.
You get my point. But look, it's basically an
His dad is white.
Can I please explain?
What's his name? Lee? Yeah, his name is Lee. Lee's... Oh, well, I guess he can't be white, but...
So, I'm going to use this as, like, an example. So, it's basically like an interracial kid, like, family dynamic. So, like, one kid's one race, parents are another race.
Yeah, it is, because it's interspecies.
But you get my point. I'm using it as an example. It's basically...
I'm sure that counts in this world, right?
Probably. I'm assuming it does because of this.
Okay.
Anyway, so, interracial family dynamic. So, kid's one different race than the parents. Kid basically meets same people of said race, trying to understand it. Kind of aspect. Mm-hmm. So basically, Poe's a panda. His adopted dad ate a panda. He's a goose. He lays eggs. He fucking flies. Poe's bio dad is same species as him. So he gets to show Poe what it's like to be a panda. Basically. And I honestly like the father-son dynamic, and we get to see Poe actually learning more about himself in a cultural aspect. I think it's a good thing for him to know, especially because he was adopted his whole life, and he's actually getting to meet his bio father and stuff like that. And I think that's a good thing to teach, like, older people that are adopted. Like, how you experienced it with the second movie. I feel like this is more for the people that when they're older, like more of the adopted people when they're older, want to know about their parents, and it's a good outcome. I'm saying good outcome because some aren't the best outcomes. So I'm going to point that out. But this is an example of a good outcome of an adopted child meeting their bio parent kind of thing. And I like that about this. We get him actually trying to be a part of his son's life, which I think is a great thing. They could have done the thing where he just didn't want anything to do with him and stuff like that. But no, they actually made it to where, okay, you're my son. I want to know more about you. I want to be a part of your life. Can I be a part of your life? And I think that's a great thing to know for Poe. Especially because he's a good example of like a healthy adopted family like trope. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think I agree. I also really like the fact that What was I gonna say? I like the conflicting feelings that Mr. Ping feels because...
Which is also valid.
Yeah, because he's coming, like, his bio dad is coming into his life, and he's probably like, where were you? I raised this kid for 20 years. Yeah. And you did not show up one bit.
And that's kind of... And that's another aspect. Like, the adopted parent... meeting the bio parent.
You got a message from the universe to come and finally meet your kid.
Like,
I mean, I would be pissed off too.
Which we can understand Ping's like rage with it, because sometimes that is a thing that happens in adopted families. Like, sometimes the bio parent wants to meet the kid and the adopted parent doesn't know how to feel about it. And that's a valid feeling to feel. Mm-hmm. Depending on how it goes. If it's a bad one, you can kind of get it more. But if it's like a good one, you know... You get to see, like, that aspect, like, a healthy aspect of, like, what it's like for a kid to see his bio parent, but still want to have, like, a relationship with both of them.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good thing to have. Especially with how this story goes. And that's something I do appreciate about this third movie. And that's one of the things I actually really liked about this third movie. That we get Poe being able to experience what it was like for... other pandas like his age and stuff like that, because like he's technically in his 20s. He was basically raised from a cub. I don't know how old he was as a cub when in the second movie, but like, you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. But we get to see that, and I think it's great. I also like how Lee is also trying to protect his son, but he also understands that like he doesn't want him to go through the same shit he went through, which I can also understand, because I feel like parents go through that. Like, when they're trying to understand their kids, especially after the bio parent finally meeting the son that they had to unfortunately give up to be able to figure shit out. And at least, you know, it's a good...
I like his arc with his dads, and, like, you know, whenever they're on screen, I'm just like, okay, this is the heart of the movie. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah. And that is, like, the best part, in my opinion, of the movie.
I think everything else that surrounds it, even the villain, is kind of weak.
Yeah. Kai is an interesting kind of villain, in my opinion. Like, I like him, but I feel like he's not that good as a villain.
It's like a very, like...
Saturday morning cartoon villain.
Yes, but it's also a very subpar
J.K. Simmons
performance, I think.
But, because here's the other thing. You can't even tell it's J.K. Simmons until he screams.
Yes, because he's like, because he puts on his deep voice. And it's like...
legit, that's like the one thing I noticed.
Jesus Christ.
You barely get to tell he's J.K. Simmons. I didn't know he was J.K. Simmons until I heard him scream, and you fucking told me.
Yeah, I'm like,
and I was like, are you serious
J.K. Simmons
right now?
scream. Yeah.
Like, are you serious?
Yeah, you can't really tell.
Like, I didn't even know it was him until that happened. And I was
that's
like,
not
what?
On. It's like, that's not on me, man.
Because that's how he sounds in, like, a lot of his roles.
Pretty much he, like, you know, he just puts on the same inflection on his voice. But here he does, like, a little bit of a deeper inflation.
Which is interesting, and I like that. We get to see, like, him diversify his voice in a sense. So I think it's a good thing for his character and stuff like that. It's good for Kai and stuff like that. I like that we also get to see Oogway again, because I feel like he was completely fucking absent from the second movie.
He was fucking dead.
You get my point! But he was still in the spirit world!
God damn, okay, he was dead.
But I thought they would have had flashbacks.
I guess in this fucking... I guess, like, from now on, I guess it doesn't matter if you're dead. You're still going to be brought back.
Apparently. Which is fine. I think it's a good idea. Especially with how shit has gotten fucking real. And I'll talk about the fourth movie. Shit gonna get fucking real with that. Anyway, so yeah, the third is mainly focused on Poe and his two dads, and basically just his heritage. But at least we still get the Furious Five in it, even if it's not for like a good portion of the movie. We still get them in it, and I will point that out. Like, the more the movies go on, the less and less they show up, and I get it, but at the same time. If these are your favorite characters for this franchise, I'm sad to say you're probably not going to see them much past the third movie. I will tell you that right now. I'm not going to get into specifics in a minute, but you get my point. I will also say this, and you mentioned this before. This was also the animation company that helped with this one did the animation for this so fucking good. Out of all the animation, this has some of the best fucking animation in the entire franchise.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure when that first movie came out, like, the actual, like, Chinese government, like, petitioned to get better movies because apparently, like, they were so shocked that an American company did a Chinese movie better than them.
Which is surprising.
Which is, like...
Which I can understand, but it's
such
still
a
surprising.
fucking cultural shock, and also a little bit probably... culturally, like,
we get it.
And like,
it's a cartoon. We get it.
I get it, but like, damn, you put that much stakes in a fucking cartoon.
Anyway.
God damn.
But yeah, still, you get that in this movie, and I think it's. Out of the 4 movies, it's so weird saying 4 movies because I'm used to saying 3 for the longest time, but whatever. Out of the 4 movies, this one definitely has the best animation of the 4. In my opinion. Like, I liked the way they did the colors in this. I liked the way they did the animation for, like, Oogway in this. It was so good. Like, this is one of the, like, out of the 4 movies, this has the best animation. And I capped that.
You capped that.
Because it definitely does.
Oh my goodness.
And this came out in 2016. That's some good-ass animation for 2016. Can we agree on that?
I will say it is the best looking out of these movies.
Which is surprising. Because I'm surprised they... Like, we'll talk about that with the 4th one.
Yeah.
But... Oh, I gotta talk about that with the 4th one. Oh my gosh.
Do you have the same complaints?
I will get to that when we get to the 4th movie.
Okay.
But anyway. Another thing I did like about this movie, even though she was barely in it, I liked that Tigress also got to be involved.
Yeah, a little bit.
With Poe's journey with this. Because even though she was in there for, like, the later half of the movie, we get to see their relationship as, like, friends still kind of develop. Mm-hmm. And stuff, which I thought was great. That's one of the things I have liked about this franchise in general. Is just their developing friendship with each other. I feel like she's opened up a lot more since the first movie. And I like that about her now. She's developed way more in this movie. And stuff, even if it was only for, like, a small bit. But yeah, also the comedy in this one, I still cannot get over. Every time I see this scene, I still fucking laugh at it. Even if it came out in 2016, I still fucking laugh at it.
And you don't laugh at many things.
Shush! I love you, but shush! Anyway, I still laugh at this scene every single time I see the 3rd movie. Where Poe's basically explaining how the plan works near the end, and all the baby pandas keep eating the food that's on the table. I cannot stop laughing at that shit. That shit is, like, the funniest fucking joke in the whole movie, and I love it.
My bean is a child.
I think it's so funny, because he's like, the Cookie Squadron will, like, go do this, and then he's, like, explaining it, and then, like, they eat everything. But he just, like, laughs it off. And then the Noodle Squadron thing, and then it's funny, okay? Poe handles that shit like a champ. He doesn't, like, get mad or anything. He's just like, okay, I get it. I kind of set myself up for that one kind of shit. And I like that. He's a good role model, especially, like, with the baby pandas. It's just, it's so cute.
My goodness.
And I like that they tried to give him a love interest in this one, which is the female panda. But it, like, goes downhill so fast. Poe's, like, not having it. He's not even interested in it. Mm-hmm. And I like that. And, this is something I will kind of bring up. And this is something I've kind of noticed within, like...
Right, just because a character does not have any, like, wants anything to do with their relationship does not immediately mean that they're asexual.
I get it.
Oh my goodness.
Can I explain?
Fine, you can explain your theory.
Okay, so this is not really a theory. This is just kind of like what I've noticed.
Oh god.
Especially since, like, the 2nd movie onward. And I'm not saying specifically he is asexual. Okay? I'm not specifically saying that. I'm just saying he's asexuality coded, in my opinion. Like, he's not necessarily asexual, but he has some traits about that. Like, I don't think he minds the idea of love, but I don't think he really wants to get into a relationship because he's the fucking dragon warrior and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like, I can see him being asexuality coded and a few aspects. Not like a lot, but you can kind of see some implications a little bit, and that's just coming from someone who's demisexual. I kind of feel that a little bit with him, especially after seeing him for 4 straight fucking movies. And I will bring myself more into this other conversation in a minute. But do you kind of see where I'm coming from with that? Like, do you see some kind of coding with Poe like that? Or is it just me?
It's just you.
I thought you were going to have more of an explanation.
If a character does not have any romantic feelings for something, I'm just like, okay, that's just... especially how he's presented. It's just like...
He don't need it.
I more see him as a man-child. Like, in a way.
Or
But
you
a
can
good...
do
But
that.
not like one of, like...
Like, not a horrible man.
Not a horrible, just a man-child. Like, just like that. He's just he's just a very silly boy. Like, basically, and he's kind of clueless. That's basically what I get from him.
I can also see that aspect as well, which I get.
Yeah, that's what I get from him.
But they're not trying to, like, make it his sole personality. Like, they're not emphasizing that. Mm-hmm. But they're, like, showing, like, hey, he's not really looking for it. You know what I mean? You know what I'm trying to say?
I know what you mean.
But, yeah, I can kind of see him as being ace-coded a little bit. But not, like, that heavily coded of it, but you can kind of see it a little bit. You can kind of be like, he kind of ace in my eyes, kind of thing. But you can kind of see it, to me at least. Anyway,
I guess.
I stuttered for like 2 seconds with that.
You did. You were like,
I'm sorry. We are almost done, and I just realized we've been doing this for like an hour and a half.
Yes.
But I already knew this was going to be a long video anyway,
yes.
Which is fine.
Might be one of our longest.
No, our longest was the fucking Hotel Transylvania one you made me sit through for the last, like,
because you wouldn't shut the fuck up.
No offense, honey. That's the only reason that video is the highest on the fucking channel. Is because of you.
Well, I'm still talking, okay? So shut up.
At least, and I will say this, at least you're talking through this.
Yes.
Which is, like, not just me doing it.
Yes.
Which is good. I like that. I like when we can both talk about it. Makes me happy.
Okay.
Because I like when we can both talk about shit. Anyway, back to the third movie. So what did you think about him trying to discover his panda side of his life? Like his culture, in a sense.
I thought, it was played very lightheartedly, so it was just mainly just for the cute factor of it.
And it's a kids' movie. They're not going to go that in depth.
I know. I was just like, okay, this is a kids' movie. It's not going to be taken as seriously as, like, other things would be. Which, it was fine. Like, I just was more interested in, like, the relationship between what the fathers were going through and stuff like that.
That's another thing I am going to ask. How did you feel like they did with Lee and Ping's relationship?
Oh, I thought it was great. That whole those two scenes in particular when they're in the
little cave or like the house
when they're in the
treehouse.
Yeah, when they're in the treehouse, both him and Poe and Mr. Ping and Lee, like those scenes in particular, really great. I think those are really great.
Also, the best scenes in the movie. Honestly,
yes.
Like, I'm surprised we didn't have more interactions with them, but I can understand. But also, I like how, in a sense, they do get to understand both their pain with this. And I like that they actually form a bond because of it. I think that's, like, one of the best things about the third movie is, like, we get to see two different parents from two different classes unite in a way that's basically, in a sense, co-parenting. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Co-parenting. I will talk about something else with the fourth movie that actually made me really happy. Okay. And I will get into that with the fourth movie. But I do like their relationship in the third movie. I think it is great, honestly. And also just the fact that he's like, hey, Dad! And now both of them look up. And he's like, hey, dads! It has to change from hey, dad to hey, dads. I fucking love that. Okay, what did you think about the aspect of Poe basically talking with Oogway? And, like, him having to basically do the skadoosh to get Kai to fucking go away. I thought that was the funniest shit, and I actually liked that they did that. What about you?
I liked the way that he went back when he went to the spirit realm and stuff like that. I just don't like the fact that it was like, oh, you get too much of the power, and it's like you get too much of the Super Saiyan, and then you explode.
I will say
I thought that was like very super anime, and it was like, okay, that's kind of a little bit too much.
I thought it was
that's kind of a little bit too much for me. I'm just like, okay.
I liked it because I like anime, but I liked that aspect. I thought it was funny.
That was like some
anime, like Dragon Ball Z shit.
Yeah, that was like some anime Dragon Ball Z shit.
I liked it though. It was funny and good.
Okay, that's kind of a little bit off. That's kind of okay.
I personally like it.
I could suspend my disbelief. I was like, I can't suspend my disbelief for that.
But yeah, personally, I liked it. I thought it was hilarious. And also, I liked the animation for that fight scene, honestly. Like, that's like probably the best animation in the entire third movie. No cap. Best animation. It has to be the spirit world. I also like that we also got to see Oogway again. And the fact that, like, he doesn't tell Poe he has to stay in the spirit world. He's like, you can do whatever you want, bro. Like, I'm not your dad.
Basically.
And I like that. Like, Oogway's a chill-ass mentor that I feel like needs more appreciation.
Yeah.
He's a chill-ass mentor, and I wish he was in more of these movies. But for what we do get, I fucking love it. Like, do you agree? He gave a nod if you guys are wondering, because you guys can't see this, but he nodded at that. He
very chill. You don't get to see much of him, which is a good thing. So,
but still, yeah. I like Oogway. He's a chill dude. I would hang with Oogway. He chill man. Anyway, so okay, one more thing I will bring up, I guess. What did you think about them trying to imply a relationship with the female panda with Poe? What did you think of that? Because
I didn't think much of it. I just thought it was a gag.
Yeah. I did think it was funny, though, and I like that they just became friends.
It is kind of like a little pet peeve. I'm like, okay, we're doing this.
Also, can we also agree that she was funny with the fucking nunchucks? Yeah. Like, that was
Most of this movie, for me, personally, is just kind of cliches that I'm kind of over with and done with.
Which
I'm just
I understand.
Like, okay, we're doing this again. Sequelitis. And I'm just like, okay. There are good scenes in here, I will say. There are really good scenes in here. And I think that, like, the still the fatherly aspect in here, really, really good. Everything else, I just did not vibe with. I was just like, okay. I was just like, kind of like, it's like a little bit like...
It falls flat a little bit.
Yeah.
It has... Okay, so I'm going to give my rating. I'll give my rating first for this one. So, this is a really good movie in my opinion. Personally, for me, even though you see the sequelitis, I don't really see it. I see where you're coming from with it, though, but I don't really personally see it. I think it's a good movie. It does help Poe understand more about himself and stuff like that. Damn, I forgot to mention this when we talked about the second one, but the Furious 5 do get a little bit of development. They did get, like, a series of shorts talking about, like...
Yeah, but we're not talking about those.
Stuff, but we'll eventually review those if you want, but they do talk about them in that. I'd interject that really quick, but anyway... Third movie, I really liked this movie. Is it as good as the first one? No. Is it as good as the second one? I personally think this one's better than the second one, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. Because I liked the family aspect of this a lot more. Mm-hmm. And also, you already know my reason with fucking Shen. And all that crap.
So you like Kai more than
Shen? I do think Kai falls a bit flat. But in my opinion, if I had to pick between who's a better villain between the two, Kai is a little bit better, but by like a little. And that's because he's actually intimidating compared to Shen.
Oh my god.
He's intimidating without having the big ass fancy cannons. He basically was intimidating because of the fucking cannons. So
you'd rather have bulk intimidation than like intimidation as someone who is more quiet and like...
Yes.
Oh my god.
But that's personally me. That's just kind of my thing. But to each their own. Okay? That's just for me personally. Personally, I like this movie better. Like, it's not as good as the first one. I personally think this is better than the second. What if a villain is
somewhere in between the middle?
Then that's fine. If it's in between the middle, I'm okay with that. I don't feel like that should be the sole purpose or function of a fucking villain. They gotta be able to, like, be a little bit versatile. in some aspects, but that's just me.
I don't know. I think like a villain could be one note if they do that one note really well, but okay.
Yeah. I will say that. I agree with you on that one. But it depends on how well they're portrayed. Anyway. It's not as good as the first one.
It's
better than the... Oh my gosh. I've said this... I tried to say this statement 4 times.
Stupid wind!
Stupid wind!
Stupid bean!
No, not stupid bean. Stupid wind! My bean is not stupid. I love him.
Yeah.
You're not stupid.
Yeah.
You're a little stupid, but not super stupid.
Okay, compliment.
Stop it. Anyway, for the record, I love my bean very, very much. We just banter and shit.
I love you too.
I love you too, honey. Anyway, can I actually say the statement and give my rating?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. Third movie, not as good as the first one. Like the first one, it's the first one's still better. I personally think the third one is better than the second by like a bit. I do like the aspects of the third one a lot better than the second. I feel like if they were going to do these movies, they should have switched it. They should have done the third movie second and then the second movie third. That probably would have made it better in my opinion. But that's just me. Mm-hmm. Also, I hope you guys don't hear the wind in the background.
Yes, the wind is fucking pounding.
Yeah. But for me, I do think it's good. I would personally give it... I would probably give it a 7.5 out of 10, honestly. Like, it's still good. It's better than the second one. But the only thing that kind of makes it a little bit different for me is, like, I feel like they could have done more with the plot and with the Panda Village. I feel like they could have utilized it a little bit more than they did. But other than that, I give it a 7.5. What do you give it while I drink my water?
It's like it burdens with sequelitis. There's only a few good scenes that I will actually go back and like sit through again. But I don't know. I feel like the bad just outweighs it just a little bit by like a hair.
Besides that,
so I'm going to probably give it like maybe a 6.5 out of 10.
And I can understand that. I get
somewhere between, or actually, wait. Actually, no, that's too high. I'm going to give it a 6.
Okay. And I'm not disagreeing with you. I do agree with you on that, like those aspects and stuff like that. I do see where you're coming from. But, you know, we can have differing opinions, and that's okay. You know? Excuse me.
God damn.
Excuse me. Sorry. Okay. Are you ready to finally talk about the fourth one? Rank all of them from best to worst and fucking finish this shit? Because this shit is an hour and a half.
Oh my goodness.
This is going to be a long video, so you guys strap in tight, damn it.
Yeah.
All right. Why don't you explain what the fourth one's about, honey, since we saw it this morning?
The fourth one.
I'm excited for you to talk about this one. I've been waiting all day for this shit.
Okay, fourth one. Poe has to find the next successor because of some reason.
Because of some reason?
Some reason. I was just like, okay, cool. And then, like, a new villain shows up. The chameleon that can take any form of anybody and wants to suck off
all the
not suck off.
Jay, no! Ignore him.
It's so fucking funny.
Basically,
wants to suck all the magic from, or not the magic, but the skills from every single kung fu master that has ever existed, and basically, Poe teams up with Awkwafina and to stop this from happening. And, yeah.
I will say this, and I think this is honestly hilarious that they actually did this. She's also named Shen, but with a Z instead of an S. I actually looked this
Shen, it's Zen.
Zen?
Zen?
But it's Zen? It's spelled
Shuzhen.
the same way.
I don't know.
Look. It's spelled the same way, except
Shen.
The first letter.
What?
Anyway, So yeah, this movie came out literally 2 days ago. So before we get any further with this, there will be spoilers. So if you haven't seen the
spoilers.
So if you haven't seen the fourth movie, fucking go watch it before you go any further. We're not giving any more warnings after this. If you get spoiled, I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry, but not sorry.
But yeah, this movie came out this year. Mm-hmm. From 2016 to now. How many years is that?
2016 to now is about 8 years?
It's been almost 10 years since the third movie came out. Mm-hmm. And that I was also not expecting. Us to get a fourth movie. Until I found out like a month ago that, oh shit, we're getting a fourth movie. You kidding me? It's been almost 10 years, bitch. Which is insanity, in my opinion. Like, almost 10 fucking years. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. First off, Shifu basically wants Po to find a successor for him. And basically wants Po to be part of the spirit world, in a sense. Mm-hmm. Like Oogway. He basically wants Po to be Oogway. But not really. Because, apparently, and this is something I didn't point out, and I forgot to point out, Shifu has gotten aggressively, like, grumpy throughout the second movie to now.
I don't think he's grumpy.
He still can't get over the fact.
I think it's the way that... I honestly think that it is the way that Dustin Hoffman has aged in this... if anything, I was hearing Dustin Hoffman, I was like... Yeah, he's definitely, he's the one that's, aged up throughout. His voice was, kind of, teetering at points to, that old man voice, and he was, kind of struggling to deliver some of the lines.
Which I can understand.
Which was, fair enough. It's been, I think, how long? It's been 10, so... It's been, almost, 14 years.
He reprised this role for so long, and I feel so bad for him.
Jesus.
That he's been this character for so fucking long.
Well, so is Jack Black, but Jack Black sounds like...
But Jack Black still sounds the same as he did, years ago. Nothing has really changed about his voice.
Yeah.
Except that maybe it's gotten a little bit deeper in, some octaves, but, other than that, he's basically the same. Yeah. Which is not a bad thing. In my opinion. Anyway, so, But yeah, he basically wants Po to be the next Oogway, but not really. And that is something I'm going to point out. To me, I feel like Shifu's gotten grumpier over the last... Or grumpier and butthurt.
He doesn't really have much to do.
And also, he's gotten grumpier and butthurt. Yeah. He's more butthurt at the fact that, he picked him as the Dragon Warrior.
He's butthurt, but he's not that butthurt, in my opinion.
He's
always been that way to me, and it's
I know.
It's fine.
But it's you can kind of see it. It's more obvious in this movie, in my opinion. Because, on the other ones, it's kind of implied.
It doesn't bother me. It
doesn't bother me either.
He still has, some respect for Po.
Which is the other thing.
Maybe, I don't know.
I will say that. So, he's butthurt. But
he
still more obvious. He still trusts him and shit. But it's more obvious in this one compared to the others. All the other ones, it's been implied that he still has his resentment over Oogway picking him, but he doesn't flat out hate Po. He still loves and respects him as the Dragon Warrior. He still feels like Oogway probably made a wrong decision, and so many people pointed that out in this movie. That pissed me off. I will say that.
The fucking villains.
It counts. It counts.
It does not count.
Yes, it does.
It does not count when it was the previous fucking villain, okay?
Anyway. So.
Oh my god.
So basically,
Po
has to basically be a successor. He doesn't like that. He doesn't accept the change to wanting to not be the Dragon Warrior anymore and being the successor. So basically, this is him learning that lesson. By going on an adventure with some fox. Yep. Basically. And I'm not gonna lie. I like Zen. I think she's a great character and a great addition to the series.
I am tired of Awkwafina. In general.
Is it because she's voiced by Awkwafina? Is that the only reason you don't like her?
Partially, yes. And partially, I just don't think that she is an inspiring character.
I get it. I can understand your opinion on it, but we'll get to that. So basically,
Very sequelitis character, in my opinion.
I will give you that one. But in my opinion, she works with it. And she gets the job done, in a sense. But she does, I can see where you're coming from. I get it. But anyway, so basically he's like, I don't want to be the spiritual successor. I just don't want to be the dragon warrior. I like kicking butt, taking names. He literally flat out says that. That's literally something he flat out says. And Chief is like, the point of being the dragon warrior is not kicking butt and taking names. You gotta show that you're a role model for people. And he still does.
He is a role model.
Poe still does. He just also likes to save people. He has I was gonna say superiority complex, but that's not what it is.
Oh, he's so fucking
He's got
funny.
a hero complex.
I'm not getting that. He does have a hero complex.
He's got a hero complex.
He has a massive hero complex. Holy shit. I just realized, like, oh my god, you actually put up a great point. He does have a massive hero complex.
Can we both agree on that? Because,
holy shit.
especially in this movie proves it. He has a hero complex. He wants
He's
to
like,
save
I don't
people.
care if I die. I just want to save the title of Dragon Warrior. I'm like, motherfucker.
You've done it for 4 movies!
You've done it for 4 movies
We
already.
get it!
Yeah,
And I'm not saying that in a bad way, but
my
still,
God.
we get it.
Oh god, his ego. If he wasn't, trust me, if he wasn't the hero, he would be the villain.
He would be the villain? Oh my gosh, Jay. That would be funny to actually
if
see
he
that.
if he wasn't a hero, he would be a villain.
I could
He would be a
honestly
very,
see
very,
that.
very, very silly.
Villain. He would be the Saturday morning cartoon villain.
He would be the Saturday.
Poe would be the Saturday morning cartoon villain.
I think they portrayed him as like a villain for like I think an episode in like the TV show, but anyway.
Oh my gosh! Enough with the TV show, honey. We haven't even watched it.
I know, but like I don't know. I'm just like, man, they probably did these plot lines in the TV show better.
Anyway,
Okay.
So basically, throughout this movie. Basically, Poe is going on a journey to Juniper City. First off, I love the fucking name. Juniper City. That sounds beautiful. This movie, compared to the others, first off, and I know you're going to point this out, because I asked about this, because you kept saying, I don't think the Furious 5 are going to be in this. I'm like, I don't fucking believe you for a minute, honey. And then I had to look it up. The Furious 5 is not even in this movie, except for the fucking end, and they didn't even get a speaking role.
Yeah, they can't afford all those voice actors that weren't doing anything.
That's something I will say about this 4th movie. I hate that they're not in it. But they make an excuse.
What was David Cross doing? What is he doing?
Well, okay,
What is David Cross doing?
I can understand Jackie Chan, maybe Seth Rogen, and Angelina Jolie.
I can't even understand it.
But what about everybody else?
I don't know.
Seth Rogen probably would be able to do that shit. He does so many fucking movies.
For like one minute. Get him in the booth for like, he could record on his phone for all I care. Get him in there for like 1 minute.
That's something I will say that I did not like that much in this movie, that we barely get to see the 5. I will say that. That's one pet peeve I do have about this movie. We only get to see him at the end, and they don't even have a fucking speaking role, which you would think after 4 movies, they wouldn't do that. This is almost 10 years after the 3rd one came out. You would think that they would have been able to at least have a few scenes. And this is at least a justifiable excuse. They made it, they're going on their own separate missions. I get that. But can we still have little cutscenes of them doing said missions?
No, they literally had cardboard cutouts.
They had cardboard cutouts of this. Not even the actual characters.
Of it, I will say...
It was funny, but still.
It did kind of look a little bit like high-res TV animation. Like,
I will give you that one.
It kind of looked like
it kind of looked like the
was
TV
made from
the same assets as the TV show.
Yes,
and
in a way,
I can actually agree with you on that one.
Like, I felt like it was very like the character. like, it was like, even though like when they went to Jupiter City, it was a very populated scene, but before then I was like, this movie is so sparse.
Like, they
so
barely showed
empty.
the valley. Like, here's the thing. And I understand...
It's better in the second movie, honestly.
I will say this. This had to be the weakest of the animation. I will say that... excuse me.
Yeah.
I will say this for a fact. Oh gosh, I can't believe I just did that. Anyway, I will say this for a fact. Out of the 4 movies, this had the weakest animation. I feel like they're just like, hey, let's take the TV series assets and put them in a movie.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of which, we didn't talk about this, but I wanted to bring it up here. Action scenes for these movies have been superb. Excellent. I can see easily somebody taking influence
from other things.
And, like, putting it into their own work because of this series. Not so much in this one. I literally got, like, when we got to, like, the final scene, I was like, oh my god, you're actually putting fucking camera shots and like, the motion of movement into these fucking fight scenes. Because I didn't feel a shit any of that in any of the, anything else in this movie when they were doing, like, their fight scenes. It was quick shots.
Yeah.
Like, when you're doing, like, the cheap, like, whenever you're doing, like, a cheap action scene, quick shot, zoom in.
There was
shot.
way too many of that.
Oh my god, are you serious? For the franchise like this, fucking shame, dude.
Yeah, like, that's something
shame.
That's something I will point out with
shame.
Enough with the shame.
Shaming.
Okay.
And no disrespect to the animators at all.
Yeah, like, there's no disrespect.
Like, I'm pretty sure, like, animators already get treated like shit. Like, I'm not saying put the animators do more work. I'm saying, like, whoever's storyboard and didn't, like
include the action scenes.
Didn't include the action scenes. Like, I assume, like, something got messed up. Maybe it was the editing. Maybe it was, like, something like that. But, like, whoever
something happened between
action scenes together. Shame.
Okay, so that's something I will point out with this.
Jesus Christ.
So, even though
this is embarrassing bad.
Oh my gosh.
It was embarrassing. Can
bad. I say what I'm saying?
Okay, fine.
Okay.
You talk.
I will say this, and this is nothing to do with the animators and shit like that. Something I have always admired about Kung Fu Panda, even though it's 4 movies in, they've always had good animation and good fight scenes for being 4 movies in. Mm-hmm. This is one of those things to where the only good fight scenes, in my opinion, was, like, for the later half of this movie. The first half, it basically felt like a buddy cop kind of movie, but not cops. It's basically like...
It's a buddy road trip.
It's a buddy road trip movie. And I understand it's 4 movies in. They're probably trying to figure out what to do. But normally with Kung Fu Panda, you can kind of get what to do with it. Like, you can kind of understand where they're going. This one, I didn't know where they were coming from. Like, I feel like they could have stopped at the 3rd one.
Yeah, you didn't understand why this needed to exist.
But I'm not mad at it. Here's the thing. Do I feel like we needed this movie? No. Am I mad at it? Also no. I feel like they could have done better.
It's not so much them even nerfing the characters either, well, except for the Furious 5. But, like,
besides
it
the
was
Furious
more
5.
the fact that they just weren't giving much to do.
Which is kind of sad. Like, literally, like, half the movie was just them traveling from, like, was just basically banter and traveling.
You don't get any, like, sense of, like, where this villain is coming from, except for, like, an exclamation scene. Like,
yeah.
And, like, the finale, like, where they're gonna have the final battle. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, literally, like, any other scene, like, any of the other movies that were building up their villains, built them up. They built up their villains. They built up why they were here and what their purpose was. I didn't get shit from this villain.
I will say this, though.
Like, inherently, she's cool. She's got a cool design and, like,
cool concept.
Cool concept, shape-shifting. Holy shit, what can you do with that? I'm like...
they could have done more.
I'm just mad at the world because, they didn't teach me Kung Fu. So I went to sorcery and, like,
which
I don't
think
have
is
no connection with
kind of a crazy.
I have no connection
concept
with the
to go
Dragon
for.
Warrior at all, and I'm like, oh my.
Okay, some stuff I will point out about this. So you pointed this out to me when we were first watching it.
Mm-hmm.
When we were first watching the movies. In the third movie, you kept hearing the same track for Kai. The do 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 do. The fucking Imagine Dragons song, but it was like an orchestralized one.
Mm-hmm.
Something I will say about this fourth movie, and I will not stop saying it, because every single time I see these two characters, these two moments, I keep thinking about it.
Mm.
Every time I look at the chameleon straight on in a shot, she looks like Rango. She looks like, they look like they took inspiration from Rango.
I like that you took a music beat and then you put it to a character design, and those two don't go anywhere. I was like, oh my god, you just went to another shit really quickly. No, it does not look like Rango to me, because those are two different characters.
Which I understand, but like you can tell from the body. Well, not the
Those
body,
are
but like
not-
you can tell from the facial structure.
I do not see it.
I saw it. That's the first thing I saw.
He literally made her eyes bigger and did not look anything
That
like
was the
Rango.
first thing I
She
saw.
she did not look like any Rango. She did not act like him and anything like that.
Okay,
so
look.
I literally,
hear me out.
Those are two different. They might as well be two different species, even though I know they're,
Let me explain.
Oh my god.
Like, from the facial structure is mainly where I saw it from. Not like the personality, not like the eyes. Just the facial structure just gave me Rango vibes.
Okay, fine. That's
And then the
fine,
second
but,
thing
like,
I noticed-
they're still chameleon. I'm still gonna assume
get
that
it.
it's gonna be like.
I get it. Also, the other thing
I'm
that
sure they looked at a fucking lizard book
probably
for the designs.
Anyway,
to design a fucking lizard.
Oh my gosh. Also, another thing I will point out. Well, here's the other thing. Rango's from Nickelodeon. I don't think it has to do with DreamWorks, so
No, it
that
doesn't.
kind of threw me for a loop.
It doesn't.
However, this one I can kind of understand more because it's from DreamWorks. Am I the only one that thought the final form for the chameleon had like a similar animation vibe to Toothless from How to Train Your Dragon?
Not Toothless to me. I was thinking more of like.
She gave Toothless vibes.
No, I was thinking
from
the
that.
Shrill from the third movie.
You kept thinking of the Shrill.
Yeah, I did. I was thinking of the Shrill because it has the exact same face. You look up that you look up what the character design for the enemy dragon and How to Train Your Dragon 3,
I'll
and
have to
it's
look
the
at
exact same face.
But I feel like I can understand, like, the Rango one, I'm a little more pissed off at. The Dragon one I can kind of understand because DreamWorks does own How to Train Your Dragon. So I can kind of understand that a little bit.
I did not see Rango. I don't know what the fuck you're saying.
I will
I
fucking
not-
do a comparison one of
It
these
is
days.
not Rango.
I will do a comparison.
Rango is more
I will not get off that high hill.
Rango is more disgustingly detailed. Okay, this is
get
just
it.
real. This is just fantasy.
Anyway, that's something I'm going to point out before we get any further into the fourth movie.
Okay.
So besides that, what did you think of the fourth movie?
Excuse me. Other than that, I just have really a lot of complaints.
Okay.
Like I just felt sequelitis all throughout this.
And this
movie.
one is a little more justified. I can understand your sequelitis for it. Because obviously with this one, it's fucking there after 4 movies, which I'm surprised at. 4 movies.
Yeah.
And then I start to feel the sequelitis, which rarely fucking happens with me. Normally it's like the 3rd movie. This time it was the 4th one. I thought, okay, this is not going to be that bad. This was worse than I was expecting it to be.
Yeah, it kind
But it's not bad, but it wasn't what I was expecting.
was a little bit doo-doo.
Ish. Anyway, another thing I will point out. Because I actually liked Zen in this movie. I actually liked her. Do I feel like they could have done a different voice actress for her? Yes. Do I feel like they could have worked her personality a bit better? Yes. They could have done something different with her. But I'm also glad we actually get another female character added to the main character roster. I think that was great. Anyway. So, and I will admit, the best animation in my opinion is literally the later half of the movie. The first half is like just a buddy road trip. Mm-hmm. Which I understand that could work with Poe, But they didn't do it in the best way. I will say that for a fact. They didn't do it. They could have done better. Like, they could have done it a lot better. Like, do you agree? Like, they were trying to make it work, and it kind of really...
I did not really feel the relationship at all, because, again, it felt like sequelitis.
It felt forced.
Yeah.
It felt, like, really forced. Because Poe was basically, at first, just trying to do it just to figure out what the fuck was going on.
Mm-hmm.
And Zen was just trying to, like, I guess, egg him on, in a sense.
Yeah.
It's kind of what I got from it, but...
It would have been so much better if this movie was like, if it was Poe and Tigress going on this adventure.
Yeah, that's the other thing I will say.
And literally, like, I wouldn't care if you got any of the other Furious 5 voice actors. Just get Tigress and, like, have it be them and have her be the next successor.
That's the other thing I was going to point out.
Legit.
They could have done this exact same story, but with Tigress. I feel like that would have been a lot better because, in my opinion, even though I like Zen and I like that she is basically Poe's successor now, I feel like they could have just done the same thing with Tigress. Mm-hmm. They should have just kind of done that because I feel so bad that Tigress has gotten shit on so much in this franchise, but not intentionally. You know what I'm trying to say? Not intentionally.
This feels like a made-for-TV movie.
Yeah.
That was brought to big screen.
Which
I don't, like...
I don't mind that they do that.
I don't mind that they do that, but you have... that for something that's already had, like,
really good
TV shows already, and, like...
You don't need to do it for another one.
Like, it kind of pissed me off a little bit.
And I can understand that. Like, it's okay to
this was literally a short, or like a TV movie, or like put in, like, for maybe like 45 minutes, which they have done. They've done plenty of animated films. Have done like the 30 to 45 minute like
shorts, which is
stuff.
Fine. Like, that's not a bad idea.
Movie.
This would have been better as a short.
Yeah,
but I feel like they could have done this with Tigress. I feel like Tigress was supposed to be the Dragon Warrior. Didn't get that. She was supposed to basically do something else. What was the other thing she was trying to do in the second movie?
She was just trying to communicate.
She was trying to communicate with Poe. Didn't really get anywhere.
Yeah.
She was trying to basically stop Kai and basically had to flee. Basically, they kind of made her like the damsel in distress, but not really. Like a very subtle...
No, they made her the messenger.
They made her the messenger. Which is... I don't know if that's better or worse. And they basically didn't even put her in this movie, except for the end. That was it. She was barely in it.
I would rather her be the messenger than that. Like, literally, that's all I care.
I
That's
get
the only
that.
one I care about.
But, yeah, this movie could have just been done with Tigress, and I'm surprised they didn't do that. Which, honestly, I was just kind of surprised at this point.
The more I talk about this movie, the more I'm like, you know, those good parts, like, I don't know, like me seeing Dustin Hoffman again as Shifu, or like the two dads hanging out together, and forming like a chemistry, like forming a bond already with, like, they already have like a son, and they were like, they're just forming a bond. Like, all of those things are kind of just washed away by it's just very kind of bad script.
But yeah, that's one thing I will say. I'm gonna get to the dads in a minute.
Fucking like,
okay, I'm gonna get to the dads in a minute, but I will say this: the script could have been done a bit better. It's okay, but it could have been done a lot better. I feel like something had to have happened between concept and final production to where it got rushed, like, so much. They could have spent a little bit more time, but then again, almost 10 years. You would have thought...
Like, they couldn't thought of something better.
For almost 10 years. Like, The Gap. The other one was like 3 years, 5 years. This is like almost 10. It's literally 8 years. Almost 10 years since the third movie. Almost 10. You would have thought between 2016 and this year
ridiculous.
That they would have done something better.
Especially with, like, this.
Especially with this franchise. Like, this franchise has gotten such good shit from anything that they've done for the movies. They've gotten good shit.
Regardless of, like, the story which I do take big issue with. But the cardinal sin that you broke was not having good fucking fight scenes.
Honestly, yeah.
Ooh.
That's like the worst thing about this movie. Which I'm surprised. I need to look up in a bit who the fucking directors were or who the fuck decided.
I would be shocked if it was any of the previous ones. I would be fucking shocked.
Fuck it. I'm looking it up.
I would be shocked.
I'm looking it up.
It might be
I have to look it up.
Because normally when it's like one of these, I'm like, oh, it's 2 new directors that came on board.
Okay, hold on. I need to look at this. Because now you're getting me curious. Okay. Hold on.
My goodness.
Kung Fu Panda director for the first one. Mark Osborne and John Stevenson for the first one. Okay, so that's the first one.
Mm-hmm.
For the second is the lady, Jennifer Yu Nelson.
Mm-hmm.
That's different, but she did good. So I'll give her that one. Kung Fu Panda... I have to fucking type this. It wasn't even up there. Kung Fu Panda 3. Same lady from the second one. With Alessandro Colani? I don't know how... I'm sorry if I'm butchering these. Did the third one. So who did the fourth one? Mike Mitchell! Mike Mitchell directed the fourth one. And he has done... What has he done? Shrek Forever After.
Okay.
Sky High. The third Chipmunks live action movie. He also directed the second part of the second Lego movie. He has also directed the first Trolls. That's probably one of the reasons I don't like the first Trolls. Trolls Holiday, which I can give it a little bit more credit for. The first Puss in Boots. And I think that's it. Along with some other, like, random ones.
Okay, so...
Also, Monsters vs. Aliens.
Okay. So, mediocrity all around the board.
So, definitely for this one, definitely...
So another white guy pretty much would know.
Yeah.
With, like, probably not the best writing for animated films.
Honestly, yeah. Like, that's the one thing I was surprised at. Like... I was hearing all these other people like, okay, they did good. Mike Mitchell! He's the only guy that directed this. That's it. He's the only one that directed it. At least Jennifer from the second one at least did good. She at least did better.
Yeah, and it still kind of feels weird that the best one of the series is directed by 2 white men. But okay. They did their research, I'm assuming.
They probably did. And they also at least made it funny.
Yeah.
But I will say this, and this is another thing I am going to point out. I have 2 more points, and then we'll probably get to the rating. But one thing I have noted... Okay, one of the things I liked about this movie... I will say it's something I did like about this movie, that they actually did right, in my opinion. That they actually did right was them explaining about change. Using change as a lesson.
Yeah, for
some
reason that got you.
This got me. Because, personally, I'm autistic and I don't do well with change. I will flat out fucking say that. I don't do well with change. So the fact that basically Poe just doesn't accept change like that kind of got me a bit. And it's more obvious in this movie and it clicked with me in this movie. But after it clicked with me in this movie, I kind of noticed it throughout when we were watching all of them over the course of, like, this week. And I will stand by this personally. As someone who is autistic, I feel like Poe is autism coded. A lot more than Ace coded. He's fucking autistic in my eyes. Because he hyperfixates on Kung Fu, and he hyperfixates on the Furious 5, and basically he has the hero complex, but that's not an autism. I don't think that's an autism thing. At least that I know of. I don't think that is.
I don't know.
If it is, correct me if I'm wrong. But, he's also very empathetic toward people. He doesn't care what people think of him, but he's still trying to do the right thing. He doesn't do well with change. Those are all signs personally that, like, I've personally dealt with, and also I know as a lot of people probably have. I stand by the fact that he has got to be autism coded. Can you agree with me with this or no? Or at least to see a little bit.
I don't want to... I'm happy that you can see that. As someone who probably suffers from ADHD, maybe, and like doesn't... I don't know if you can consider be autistic coded, but okay.
Well, at least neurodivergent.
I'm happy that you can see that, and that can give you something that, I can't see.
And this is something I definitely stand by with it, but also, even if it's not autistic coded, at least neurodivergent coded.
Mainly because I don't know the perception of autistic coding, and I don't want to touch it, so...
And I can understand.
I'm happy that you find that. To me, it was just like, it's pretty much the cartoon, like, logic of making a person, like, a bumbling buffoon. Like, that's
not what I'm trying to say.
No, I know that, but I'm just saying, like, that's just how, like, cartoons are from someone who's been watching cartoons for a while. That's just a trope.
That's just what I've noticed, at least with Poe. That's at least something I've noticed. As coming from someone who is autistic, that's something I've noticed. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I think it's good. I think it's good representation.
I know you're not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying, like...
I'm just saying.
That's just your...
But that's just something I noticed.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's personally me. You can agree with me, disagree with me, I don't care. But that's just my personal opinion. I have to fucking say that. Especially after seeing the fourth movie today. I have to say that. And that definitely confirms it in my eyes.
If that's the most interesting thing that you can come up with this movie, then I don't know if there's much interest.
There's also another thing I actually liked about this.
I know you fucking like that fucking cover.
What? Well, I was gonna...
Oh, I thought that's what you were gonna mention.
Well, I'm gonna get into that, but I will get into that after. Mm-hmm. Another thing I will say about this movie. I love how Lee and Ping are developing as a bond. They act like a fucking gay couple, and I love it! These two act like a gay couple, in my opinion. Like, these two act like so great in this movie. That was like probably my favorite part about this movie. Just how these two have bonded over the course of the third to this movie. They bonded so much, and I can see them as a fucking gay, like, LGBT couple in this. Because honestly, I can kind of fucking see it. Ping has to be fucking gay because you don't see him with anybody, and he kind of gets off as a gay dad, like single gay parent vibe. And obviously Lee is bi, or bi, pan, something along those lines. Depending on what you want to classify. He can fuck with anybody or like either gender. I don't care what you see it, but I could see them being an LGBT couple, honestly. Like, I didn't think so in the third movie, but definitely in this one. Definitely in this one. Do you agree?
You have your own opinion on that. I just thought of it as two adopted dads.
But it was nice to see them bond. It made me so happy. It made me happy to see them bond. Oh my gosh. Okay. Last thing I'll point out. The best fight scene was literally the end.
Yeah.
And also, I will say this. I did think this was interesting. Why the fuck did no one know who Poe was? No one knew he was the Dragon Warrior in Juniper City. And that kind of bothered me. But at the same time, I can kind of understand.
It was in service of the plot. It was just
like, but still.
Let's just fucking...
With all the places he's been?
Yeah.
How the fuck do you not know?
That didn't make any sense, and it kind of just felt like we just need to move the plot along.
That bothered me. That bothered me so much, because it's like, he went to the fucking city in the second one, or the harbor, or whatever the fuck it was. We go to the Panda Village. Bit different, but you get my point. Mm-hmm. How the fuck does no one know who Poe was in Juniper City? That genuinely surprised me. It's like, at least know who he is. A general idea. It doesn't have to be him as the Dragon Warrior. At least know that he knew Shifu.
The thing about, like, sequels, they like to just, like, pretty much just do, like, either a retcon, or they just like to make the whole world, like, clueless of what happened in the previous other movies.
That still bothered me, and that's like the one of the things that genuinely bothered me about this fourth movie was the fact that no one knew who Poe was. That pissed me off. I will say that. That legit pissed me off. Okay. Supposedly they're supposed to make... It's supposed to be a 6-movie installment, from what I've heard. I don't know if it's still going to be...
If it's literally another mediocrity, I'm not going to care. I'm really not going to care.
I will say this. Because there's 2 more movies, technically, if they do this. I don't know if they're still going to do it. I don't know if it's, like, just a rumor or if it's something that they plan on doing. But that's something I've looked up. Because I actually looked it up. How many movies do they think they're going to be in the franchise? And that was kind of what someone said. But I don't know. What do you think they're going to even do after this? Especially with how this ended and how this went. What are they even going to do? I feel like Poe's journey is done. You know what I mean? Like, what do you think? What do you think they could even do for 2 more movies?
I do not know. I really don't know. I feel like they kind of ran out of ideas.
Which is surprising, especially if you're doing... which is surprising, especially if you're doing 6 movies. What are you even going to do for the last 2? I feel like Poe's journey ended before this movie. I feel like this plot would have been better as like the either the 5th movie or the last movie. You know what I'm trying to say? This would have been better near the end if they did that. But that's just me personally. My theory about this, and I will say this, my theory about it is probably, I feel like they're going to either have Shifu die and Poe has to fucking grieve with it.
Well, it's already foreshadowed, but do I really need to see that? Not really.
I don't know. But, or the other theory is basically the last 2 movies are going to be about Zen, which I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised if they did that. But I'm kind of curious to see what it would do, but at the same time, I'm kind of scared at what it's going to do. Because from the look of it, it kind of makes it look like they're going to make Zen basically be the protagonist after this, and Poe basically being the silent, even though it's Kung Fu Panda. She's not a fucking panda. At least with Shifu, it was justified. At least with Shifu in the first movie, it was justified. Because he's a red panda. That still counts. This don't count.
This don't count.
Okay. So, I'm going to give my rating for the 4th. Do you have anything else to say about it?
The only thing I can say that is good about this, like, actually good, is the fucking cover of Hit Me Baby One More Time.
Yes! Jack Black, thank you! I've been hearing it so much and I love it. I did like that.
The only good thing from start to finish.
Which is surprising because you would think
I actually like that cover. I think it's really good. But
me too.
Other than that, oh sorry, I'm going gassy. To forget this once we turn off this fucking recording.
Okay. Which is, I just realized we've been recording for 2 hours.
Yep.
This is probably one of the longer podcasts we've done and I love that. Anyway. I'm going to give this 4th movie, to me, it's a good movie, but they could have done a lot better with it. I feel like they kind of rushed this movie compared to, and I hate saying that. I hate saying they rushed it, but it's fucking obvious that they rushed it. I do feel like the plot was okay, but I feel like a lot of shit they could have just done better. Especially with it being 4 movies in and there's supposedly 2 more movies coming.
I don't know how the fuck they're going to do that.
Why do you think I don't know either? I'm curious what they're going to do, but at the same time, I'm kind of scared. Especially if this one's so bad.
I feel like this will be the last one. Unless this turns out to be a fucking big monster hit.
Which I would not be surprised either, because it's fucking Kung Fu Panda.
Yeah, and most of these movies make their money back anyway.
So, I would not be surprised, but I am curious. But yes, if they do decide to do the other 2 movies, yes, we will review them. But I don't know how we're going to feel about them, to be honest. But we'll see. Maybe they might turn it around. I don't know.
I was really disappointed by this movie.
I will say this. But for me, I would probably rate this... I'm going to give it a 6.5. Honestly, I feel like they could have done better. They really could have done better. In my opinion, after I had some time to think about it, because I was like, oh, this was really good. It's still good, but definitely not as good as all the others. It's good in different ways. And that's for each of these movies. They're all good in their own ways. This one I think is the weakest of the four of them, which is kind of sad, especially because of how good all the other ones were. But yeah, I give it a 6.5. And if I had to rate the best to the worst, the best is the first one, then the third, then the second, and then the fourth. And I personally feel like they should have switched the second and third movies. So the third one was the second, and then the second was the third. But that's just me. All right, your turn, bitch.
Yeah, I think I said everything I need to say about it. It's not that good. It's kind of bad. And I hope if they make any more, I just hope they get another. I hope they get a. I know it's gonna sound weird. I hope they get like a confident Asian director to do this.
Yeah,
because I feel like
honestly.
they would put. So I hope they. I feel like they would put a new spin on this franchise that, like, you know, hasn't been seen in a while. So
I feel like they could do better.
Yeah, I feel like they could do better. I just I don't know. I wouldn't want it to go on, but if it is, I'm curious. I just hope the fucking fight scenes are fucking there and they're good, you know,
and they're better than this.
Better than this. But for this, I give it. Oh, God.
What do you give it? I'm actually curious.
I give it a 4 out of 10.
You give it a 4?
Yes.
Interesting. But yeah, I give it a 6.5. It has some good aspects to it, but it really needs to be done better. And I'm curious to see what they're going to do from here, if we're even going to get another movie, but we'll see. We'll see if they do. We'll see if they don't. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Let's just hope it doesn't take 10 years for whatever they decide to do next, because I'm not going to lie. That's a lot. 10 years. I'm not going to get over that.
That's crazy.
But anyway, that's the end of our franchise. Wait. We forgot to rank the best to the worst and all that.
What?
Which is the best to the worst in your opinion, for the movies?
Best to the worst?
Yes. Best to the worst. Not worst to the best. Best to the worst.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Really?
Yes.
That's funny. Okay. Alright, now we're good. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I'm sorry if this is a long-ass video. I was not expecting this to be 2 hours, but I was kind of glad it's a 2-hour video.
It's okay, whatever.
This is going to be fun to edit.
God.
You excited to edit this in a minute?
Save me. No, I'm just kidding. I don't care.
But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and as always, I'm Mari.
I'm Jay.
And we're out.